The Social Security cost of living adjustment is set to be announced this week. A new Bankrate survey found that more than half of non-retired U.S. adults expect to rely on Social Security to cover necessary expenses once they retire. Experts say it's important to regularly review your savings strategy. Joining us is Mark Hamrick, Bankrate senior economic analyst. Welcome.
Good morning, Mary.
This new Bankrate survey shows that more than half of non-retired adults expect to rely on Social Security someday, but most worry those benefits won't be there for them. What does that tell us about Americans' confidence in the system right now?
It shows that we need for this to work. And it also shows maybe that there is a high degree of skepticism that we believe Congress will do what's needed to essentially save the promised benefits. You know, Mary, within a decade, the Social Security Trust Fund is going to be depleted. That is the widespread assumption that is universal. And so if that happens, if nothing is done about that between now and then, there'll be a mandatory cut in the benefits of between 20 and 25%. So you lump it all together, people expect to be reliant on this program. They are not confident that essentially Congress will do what's needed to get them their promised benefits. And oh, by the way, government shutdown is a palpable reminder of the ineffectiveness of our elected officials and essentially our political system right now. So a lot of things need to happen for this to get better.
How can changing interest rates, inflation, or the market impact a person's savings plan?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you talked at the outset about how we're likely tomorrow morning to hear from the Social Security Administration about the annual cost of living adjustment. And that really does rise and fall with something that we're all painfully aware of, and that's inflation. And so the expectation is that that'll be something on the order of in the high 2% range, let's say maybe 2.7%, 2.8%. That's something. It's not going to be a lottery ticket winning, but it's an adjustment to the upside. So that really does reflect the inflation that's in our system. It's been coming down because inflation's been coming down. The other part is that obviously interest rates are a way that the Federal Reserve sort of dictates the speed of the economy. It's been lowering interest rates of late. We expect that to happen again later this month, and that's aimed at shoring up the U.S. economy and amid the hope that we don't see a substantial weakening in the job market.
How heavy are Americans depending on Social Security, and how sustainable is that level of dependence?
Well, essentially, three-quarters of Americans believe that they will not get their promised benefits, but yet a majority of Americans say they expect to be reliant on this popular program that's been around for 90 years. And that reliance really does change depending on one's age. Obviously, those who are more senior, those who are looking at retirement over the dashboard or maybe even currently, you've got 72% of baby boomers say they will be reliant versus a smaller percentage of members of Generation Z. That's more in the high 30% range. But this is a system that people have paid into. That's one of the most important aspects of this. This is your money the government's been a steward of, and we need the government to step up to ensure that this program is not depleted by 2033.
And can you give us some tips about retirement savings, especially now?
Control what you can, and that is if you're a young person, you're early in the workforce in your career, take advantage of the employer match in a 401k program. You know, if they're going to supplement your payment, let's say 3 to 5% of your paycheck with that match, if you fail to do that, you're leaving money on the table. So you get the power of compounding over many decades. For more senior workers, those who are looking at retirement either as a very near-term prospect or let's say it's 15, 20 years out, you can still make a big difference by more aggressive participation and saving. And then down the line, you may decide not to tap your benefit as early as you might have otherwise been inclined. The longer you wait, the more the payment will be. And that's if the system holds up. And secondly, you may need to work or want to work a little longer, even if it's just part-time, to supplement the income that you had when you were a full-time worker.
Mark Hamrick, Bankrate senior economic analyst. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mary.
The government shutdown has delayed the release of what the